So if you didn't catch the last episode, go back because this is it's going to be a segue into this next episode that we have. But we ended with the death of my father in '08. Little did we know that we were pregnant at the time. And it was just the Lord being so merciful and so gracious and knowing that our family needed it. Yeah. My mom would need it. My mom calls our firstborn her new song because it was very much in that time, in that season of her life that the Lord provided that for her. So we have 3 kids.
We have 3 kids. That first one was named Miller. She's actually here. You'll see her in an episode in the next couple upcoming episodes.
Cool. She is 13.
She's 13.
Yep.
Hey, welcome to Goswick Lane.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. She's 13. That's the one that we found out we were pregnant with when my dad got sick. We were able to tell him that he was going to be a grandfather. So her name is Miller, which is my maiden name. We named her after my dad. And then 3 years later, we had another child, Memphis.
Walking in Memphis.
Yep. There is no, he was not conceived there
we're talking about conception.
Well, no, I'm just saying I get that question all the time.
I know. Yeah, people ask me that too.
Yeah.
Walking with my feet.
He was not. Memphis, actually, we knew we wanted to stick with the M's.
Yes, that's why his name Memphis.
I was shopping at Canton. If you've never been to Canton Trades Day, give it a try. It's first Monday every month.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool spot.
Said Memphis. I called Sugar Daddy. I'm like, yep, Memphis, it's it. You're like, yep.
I
think
loved
you
it.
were actually in the deer stand whenever
I might have been, but I remember that call. I was like, because we were having a hard time finding an M.
Yeah.
I love it. I loved it.
Yeah, something unique.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, the Lord blessed us with
3 years later, McCoy, 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5.
With our third, Briggs McCoy, but he goes by McCoy. So.
Yeah.
And his name was, we liked McCoy.
We really liked McCoy.
Yeah.
We
didn't find out what we were going to have with him.
We were going to name him or her McCoy.
McCoy, either one.
Did we have a middle? We didn't have a middle name or a first name for a girl, did we?
No. McCoy, it was going to be McCoy either way. We just didn't have first names for it. Yeah.
I forgot that we let him be a surprise.
Mm-hmm. That was all cool. You.
I was super excited about the other 2 we knew.
Yeah.
And we already had a boy and a girl, so it was like, and we have clothes for both of them, you know. So it was super cool being able to let that be a surprise. Yeah. Did you know?
Did I know what?
That he was going to be a boy.
No, I didn't know until when they came in, when I was having him that day.
And they said he's ready to come out.
No, they said his heart rate is dropping very quickly. And I said, what did you say?
Yeah.
She's like, he's just generic. We always, if you don't know what you're having, we always refer it.
They don't. She was trying to cover it up.
For sure. But his cord had wrapped around him. And we had to get him out quick.
Yeah, he was a little scary when he was born.
Yeah.
So our journey, that's our family. That's kind of our life journey, how we met. So how did, in business, we're going to correlate this to business. Yeah. How did we get to where we are today with these short-term rentals, Airbnbs? It's been a long
It has been a long journey. It has been a long journey. I would even go back as far as to, we've had a lawn care business since 2005. Back up, Shane, when he was 12, his parents had he and his brother start their own lawn care company to teach them the value of $1, responsibility for like maintaining customers and keeping equipment taken care of, responsibilities for property, things of that nature. And so
that's
it was
how
just kind of a natural instinct, I think, for you right out of college because you knew you could make quick money on it.
I think being an entrepreneur was like just, it's always been in my blood. Like I was born, like I know that I was born this way. I was taking candy and gum to school when I was 13 years old, selling it at school just for the thrill of it, really, for the entrepreneurial thrill. Okay. So it's always been in my blood, and I've always been super excited to just run businesses. There's a lot that comes with running a business and being self-employed that you don't really know until you go through it. And there's not enough time in the show to really go through all that, but that's just been my heart and my passion my entire life. And it really didn't ever matter what business it was up until recently, to where we're trying to do things, or whatever we do, we're trying to do them in a way that we can optimize and put systems behind them so that eventually that they can run on their own.
Right.
That's super important.
I think the lawn care company has always been the mothership. There's always
Yes.
been other little businesses, some bigger, some smaller, but I think the mothership was always like the lawn care company, the
Yes.
consistency
Yes.
of that. It paid the bills. So
Yeah. So what, as far as your business journey?
I was raised with parents who had the same job for 30 years. Mom worked for SWEPCO Electric Company. Dad coached and taught at the secondary level in public schools. And so we knew exactly how much was coming in every month. We knew how much was going out every month. We didn't want for anything, but we also did not really fully understand the value of a dollar. And so it wasn't until I met Shane that he taught me that. I can remember.
I was about to tell that story. Yes.
All right, tell him. From your perspective.
From my perspective, stop me if you have a different perspective, because
Okay.
it's funny to hear these things 17, almost 18 years later.
Yeah.
We've been married almost 18 years. Our first year of marriage, probably within the first couple months, we're living
It
in.
was rough, y'all.
We're living in.
It was rough. If you're in your first year of marriage, hang on. Just
Yeah.
hang on.
You said, hang on.
Hang on.
Hang on.
Whatever you need to do, hang on.
Hang on. Yeah, sometimes it can be rough.
Yeah.
Live on love.
Yeah. And the Lord.
That's it. So I remember coming home from class. I was either at class or I was coming home from mowing some yards.
Was
And
this at ETBU?
Yeah, we were living
Okay.
at ETBU in married housing. And
Yeah.
yeah, paper thin walls. You could hear the bath water running in the night.
It had like industrial tile on. It was
You made it as cute as you possibly
Tried.
could. You did.
tried.
And it was like, again, you go back to that experience. Like for me, it was like, this is amazing. We've got our own place. For you, not so much.
I could cry thinking
There weren't
about
any
it.
There weren't any mice there. We'd never seen
No,
any.
our really good friends at the time were like across the hall down
Yeah.
the way, like 2 doors. So you heard every time somebody came in, you could hear people talking.
Yeah.
It was just
It's
for
very
newlyweds, it was very interesting.
I remember coming home that day
Okay.
and seeing these bags on the floor.
What
like
kind of bags?
Gap, Old Navy.
Okay.
maybe
Shopping bags. Okay.
Yes, shopping bags.
Okay.
And listen, I knew what was in that bank account, and I saw what was in that bags, and that didn't add up.
I didn't.
It did not add up. And I was like, babe, where'd these bags come from? Where'd these clothes come from? Well, they came from Gap and Old Navy and maybe Target. I don't remember.
No, I didn't have it.
I didn't have a Target. It was just Gap and Old Navy, wasn't it? At that
American
time.
Eagle
Oh,
bought
American Eagle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd they come from? She said, well, I bought them. I was like, did you get declined? No, I used my cards. We don't have any. We have one credit card, and you would have got
Did we
declined. I
have
think
a
we had
credit
one
That
credit card.
Disney, that red Disney
No,
card.
I don't think we didn't have that one at the time. We had
Okay.
a Texas one. Was had Texas Ranger had like maybe a $500 limit.
Okay. Okay.
What credit card? And she said my Gap, my Old Navy cards. Where did you get those? Well, my dad gave them to me.
I'd had them for years. You have to understand that.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, whoa, you just went shopping on Daddy's credit card after we got married. And you're like, yeah, he don't care. I was like,
Back up.
he didn't.
He didn't know. My mom knew. I always asked him, like,
Okay.
hey, Mom, I'm out of jeans, or hey, Mom, these are too tight or too small, whatever. And so I always asked for permission before I did it.
Okay.
But I guess I just never really ran it by you because I didn't think it
You
really
didn't.
affected you.
Yeah, you didn't think about like us being on our own. It was to me it was embarrassing that like, oh, I can't even take care of my woman. Like,
Because I couldn't go shopping.
also, yeah, we just can't go shopping. So
Oh, my
we
gosh.
after a battle there, we ended up giving the credit cards back. We also had a gas card
We had
from
a gas
Dad.
card. Because my dad wanted to make sure I could always come home if I needed to.
Yeah, I think we gave that back too.
He didn't want me to give it back.
No, he didn't. He always wanted to make sure his girl was taken care
He would
of.
always tell me, I'd say, hey, Daddy, I want this or whatever. And he'd say, let me go shake the money tree out back.
He'd show up with some dollar bills. He had like underneath the sock drawer in his house, like stashes of coins and dollars everywhere.
Oh, my word. You're so right.
Oh
You're so
man,
right.
he always had some cash though. It was
Cash.
awesome.
Yep.
It was awesome.
His family survived the Great Depression, so they
It's
they
a different
always-
it's a different mindset
It
of like if
definitely
you
is.
survive those kind of times
Yep.
and you're taught that way to always have a stash somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you never know when you're
Yeah.
going to need it.
Yeah.
So our business started. Basically, our business experience started with a lawn care business.
Yeah.
We ran that for a long time. I had jobs in between. You
Right.
had jobs in between. Courtney helped work for the lawn care company for
Well,
probably
I was
6.
working. When we first got married, you said, okay, if
You were working at the
I'm going to go to
courthouse.
school, yeah, you're going to have to work. So I got
Right.
a job with a local JP judge
Yeah.
doing ticket citations. Loved that. I loved being in the know of
Mhm.
all the criminal stuff. I would go down and do arraignments with her in the jail in the mornings. Anyways, I loved that job.
Yeah.
There was some moral conflicts there, and so I just felt like this was not the place for me, although I loved the
You
job.
really did. I remember you,
Yeah.
getting paid nothing. It was
Nothing,
like
yeah.
$7 an hour or
Right.
something at that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it goes a long way of like, if you really love to do something, figure out how to do it.
Right.
Anyways, so then you said, hey, I need to leave there. And I said,
Mhm.
well, I mean, at this point, we had moved out of married housing. We're in the little house. Watch the last episode. We talked about the little house in Hallsville.
The Love Shack.
The Love Shack. And I said, well, if you can help me 2 days a week,
2 days a week was the agreement.
then that'll help us create some
You were
more
a
revenue.
one-man show at
That was
point.
it. Yeah, I was just cutting grass by myself.
Okay.
So she did.
Making
She said,
good
yeah.
money
I mean, like
for
it's,
two newlyweds.
it's all relative.
Yes.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
We had everything we needed,
Yes.
and we didn't need much.
Right.
No kids, so bills, very, very minimal bills.
Is it safe to say there was an itch for something more?
There's always been an itch for something more
Okay.
for me.
Okay.
And as I've gotten older, I've had to learn how to, number one, not idolize money.
Right.
That was a big
You've
part
come a
of
long
my
way.
life.
Mhm.
Number two, contentment and ambition can operate in the same realm
Okay.
with gratitude.
Okay.
So we're okay. I'm totally content where we're at. I'm happy with our family
You're
relationship.
talking about like right now?
Yeah, I'm talking about right now.
Okay.
But I still have ambitions,
Right.
and it doesn't really. I think I just have ambitions to have ambition. Like I feel like that's just who God made me to be.
Yeah. My prayer has always been for him that he would seek his fulfillment in the Lord and not constantly be chasing the next
Right.
thing. And I've seen the Lord do a mighty work
Yeah.
in your life.
And he has, and so that contentment, we find that in him, and I think we find our ambition in him
Right.
too, right? Because like if
He gives us
if
that.
we relate that to our walk with him, like we're content in what he's given us, and we're ambitious to do more with what he's given us, and we're grateful that he's given us this opportunity.
Yeah.
So where was I going with that?
So we both had some side jobs. I came home.
Yeah,
and
you
was
worked-
working 2 days a week.
You
with
work
him.
2 days a week on the lawn care crew.
Mhm.
I said, you have to work 2 days a week. She said, I can do that, but I have one stipulation that when we're working, I'm the boss.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. So I said, that's fine. She learned a lot. She rode the mower most of the time, but she'd grab a weed eater and edge the sidewalk with the best
Do
of
you
them.
remember a couple of customers who said she cannot mow my yard?
I do.
Yep.
I do.
She cannot mow my yard. It was this is not a job for a woman.
Mhm.
I'm not paying a woman
Like
to
it
do
if-
this job.
I think it offended a man to
Because I
have,
would have a weed eater in hand.
yeah, to hire a company that a woman was taking care of a job.
But you know, there's a company right now that mows a house right up the road from us. They do it every Friday.
Yeah.
And she is out there push mowing that
Yeah,
yard.
she's getting it done.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
awesome.
admire her. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I know what it feels like. Carry on.
So that was kind of the beginning. And then, okay, so you and I went back and forth into we were running the lawn care business, own and operating lawn care business. We had jobs between, stopped it or kept it going during those times. I've
No,
had that.
I didn't.
You had jobs. You worked at another place down the road.
That was the only job. I've only had that job, the judge, and working at a flower shop my whole life.
Okay. I've had a few different jobs.
Yeah.
Well, I've had jobs working for the same guy, but they transferred companies
Right.
because the oil field stuff,
That's
people
what-
get bought out and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So we ran through that, and then I think I kind of had this eventually it was just clear that we need to be running our own business. And running your own business is
Shane, I love him so much, but if you tell him to do something, he gonna struggle with it. He does not like anybody telling Shane what Shane needs to do. And I learned that early on, so I've had to find ways to communicate to Shane things that I need Shane to do without saying, "Hey, Shane, do this."
It's very true.
You've always said I've got authoritative issues.
I do have authority issues.
Okay. You've gotten a lot better.
I was saying I don't want to be jaded, but the older you get, the more you realize like the wisdom of the people who are asking you or telling you something to do, and you respect that more.
Okay.
Or you get to a point to where you can respect what somebody's saying or asking you to do, and not necessarily have to buck it, but maybe you don't agree. I think a lot of my authoritative issues come from people asking me to do stuff that I don't think is valid. So I'm setting these rules in my head.
Cloned. Our middle
Yeah.
is just
So I set these rules in my head, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Or if you tell me to do something that makes sense, I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. I'll do that.
But when I want to, for sure not right now.
On my time schedule.
Yeah, for sure not right now.
Because I'm doing something more important right now.
Y'all, I'm telling you.
We're getting to the root here.
We are. It's getting there. Okay.
Let's go. First house that we remodeled. Let's get to the real estate.
Okay.
Real estate rehab.
I was not.
Rental Airbnb.
Was I in on that one? Was that the Gladewater or Legion Fields?
Very first house we did was a small it was actually a 3-2 bedroom in Elysian Fields about 5 years ago.
Which is your hometown?
Yeah, it's my hometown. 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know. And based on our metrics at the time, we failed miserably. We got it for a good deal. We spent too much money rehabbing it. We tried to do a lot of it ourselves, in which I am not built for construction. I can't stay focused on a task-oriented thing where you do over and over for long enough to actually complete a job in a manner that looks good.
You know that's not your strength.
Can't do it.
It's okay.
But we tried to. Me and my business partner at that time tried to do it. Failed. However, it worked. It still worked out okay because real estate appreciates most of the time. So we held that property for...
You ended up buying out your business partner.
Yeah. Me and my brother ended up buying out my business partner. We held it for 4 years and sold it and made some money to go on to the next one. Our second and third, we did again with that same business partner.
What was the third one?
A house in Longview on Electra.
Oh,
it was just, we cleaned it up and just flipped it.
Grass.
Yeah, this was a good one. He found it. We bought it for cheap. It was kind of in a rough part of town. We cleaned out the inside and mowed the grass. I think we bought it for like $15,000. Cleaned up the grass, mowed it real nice, cleaned up the inside. We probably spent a full day there doing that stuff. And we sold it for $28,000. That was like
cash.
The second one that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. This is really something that we could do. We just need to continue to find the deals. The third one was in Gladewater. We had to actually rehab that house and sell it. And then our fourth one, you and I did in Spring Hill.
Oh, Spring Hill Roadhouse.
And this was another flip. We took this old... Go ahead, you talk about this one because you did most of the GCing on this.
What do you want to know about it?
Just what wasn't, what it ended up being.
So we had a business partner in with that one as well. He actually found the deal, but at the time was living in California and needed somebody who was like boots on the ground here locally who could meet with contractors. He had two stipulations. One was going with a very specific subcontractor, and the other was going with a very specific realtor when we turned around to sell it. Those were his only two I'm not budging on. And so both of those were great. They ended up going really well. But the house was a full gut job. We ended up, the house was built in 1953. And when you walked in, it was like they had just left to go to the grocery store and came back. Beds were made, food was in pantries. Like it was, but it had this eerie stairwell. It was like red pressed glass around the stairwell, and it had this wheelchair, like this stair chair that went up. There was something. I'm telling you, I've never prayed as much as I prayed every time.
It also had a
house.
basement.
Yeah, I think that.
And there are not basements in this area.
No, yeah.
That's
so
not normal.
That also made it kind of eerie.
So that rehab that entire house, moved walls, rooms, all new electrical, plumbing, like
that
gutted.
That was also our first encounter with city, getting permits. And
that's a difficult process.
It is. It can be a really difficult process.
Depending on your city.
Yeah. They can either like make it or break it for you. Like, yes, this is something we can see ourselves doing long term in the future, or no, the hurdles and the hoops we have to jump through is just not worth it, because it can delay your time frame a week, 2 weeks, whenever the inspectors can get over. So that permits were hard.
They were difficult. That total rehab took us about
6 months.
6 months, maybe closer to 7, was it? Or 6 months. By the time we got it sold, it was around 8 or 9 months from start to finish.
Well, because the person that was going to buy it couldn't move here for 3 months.
Right, so they wanted to push the closing back.
Yeah.
So that was our 4th deal, and our next deal.
In fact, I still, just 2 days ago, someone told me that they had been over to the house.
Really?
The people that we sold it to, they actually go to our church, and we're having a small group thing. Yeah, and that they absolutely loved it.
So
it's cool to hear that.
That's amazing. So when we rehab houses, Courtney does all the design work and kind of comes up with what the house needs to look like when it's done. When I walk into a house, I can't see those things. When she walks into a house, it's like she's already got it pictured of what walls need to move, where the kitchen's going to be, all those things. And so we use those talents in the business, and she does a really, really great job. So the next one that we did was the house on Dennis, right?
Yeah.
In Longview. Okay, so this is our first. All the other ones we flipped and sold.
Right.
Okay,
Well, no, EF we didn't flip and sell immediately.
We rented that one for a while. Yeah. Most of the other houses we'd flipped and sold, we didn't know. And then so we get into this house in Longview, the next one, and I think our intentions were in Longview at the time. I'd looked up on Airbnb, and my brother had been talking to me for a long time about Airbnb, short-term rental. He had read some books. His name's Brandon. He reads books all the time, and so I get to take the cliff notes of those books based on the information that he gets. And he's been, I think for 2 or 3 years prior to that, he's been saying, man, like this is a good market. So I look on Airbnb, and there's not much data. Now you have like AirDNA and Price Labs, and you can pull a lot of data. If there are other properties in your area, there were maybe 6 or 7 houses on Airbnb.
In Longview?
At that time when we started that. Maybe 5.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was that many.
There wasn't many at all.
Okay.
Not many at all. And so we thought, okay, we got this house at a really good deal. We're going to rehab it. We're going to spend about $30,000 to rehab it. And for that price, because we got such a good deal, we can't lose. So we have exit strategies of, we said, let's just give it a shot.
He always has an exit strategy.
So your exit strategy, we wanted to do Airbnb, and that was our main goal. Said, why not? People thought, a lot of people have told me recently that I thought you were just crazy, like to do Airbnb. Yeah, okay. Like who's coming to Longview?
I do get that question.
Yeah. So that was our first strategy. Our next strategy was to long-term rent it, because it would still cover everything, and we'd still make $400 to $500 a month cash flow on it. If that didn't work out, we would just sell it and then move on to the next one. So that we didn't really know at that point that it would turn into what it's turned into today.
Yeah, I don't think the vision was let's scale this to where we have multi-doors.
So we get to the end of the construction or the reconstruction, Airbnb it, and it starts going really good. We're hitting like 65, 70% occupancies on this place. And we're like, man, this like the cash flow is really good. Now at this point, we're only managing one. So managing one's not hard.
Right.
Let's see if we can scale this thing. And that decision kind of turned into where we are today. And really it's only 10 months later.
Yeah, September.
From 1 to will be 8 doors in the next 2 weeks. So we've learned an incredible amount in that time frame.
Yeah.
That I'm sure we'll be talking way more about the things that we've learned in the short-term rental game.
Yeah.
From then to now.
Yeah. So definitely been an adventure.
It is definitely an adventure, and there is so much more still to learn and to set up and to automate and to put systems behind and to put the right people in the right places to help manage.
We're on the right path.
We're getting there.
So my role has always been come up with the vision and bring the vision to life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I was like a 1 or 2 man show in bringing the vision to life. Like, hey, I can't move a couch in by myself, so I'm going to need somebody to help me do that type deal. And just in the last 2 months, Shane has really realized.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Well,
Yeah.
no, because we had with Majestic A, we had some help moving that stuff in.
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're really trying to put some systems in place to relieve us so that we can focus on the things that we're good at.
Yeah.
Courtney's really good at the decorating.
Thanks, babe.
You are.
Thank you.
You're amazing at it.
Thank you.
And that's part of the reason. If you go in our description, you can see some of our listings, and just they're really nicely decorated. They make people feel at home when they come in there. And what I'm good at is the vision and finding deals and properties. And then, like, at that point, like, I just want to be like, okay, somebody else take it. I found it. Here it is. Take it over. Because that's what fills my cup. That's what I'm good at. I don't want to deal with the bank or the details and stuff like that. So we're working on putting systems behind all that so that when we find a property, rehab budgets in place. And a lot of these are rehab to short-term rental. Budgets put in place. Okay, that takes over until, the cogwheels roll until it gets to Courtney's time, and then she picks out all the stuff, and then we have people go in and actually set up everything. So all those things are kind of starting to come together.
Which I would say for all of that to happen in less than 1 year of operating short-term rentals, I'd say we're on the right track.
We're definitely getting there. I think there's still a ton of stuff to automate, but all this stuff doesn't happen without. I'm gonna give a shout out to my boy Paxton, who runs our lawn care business, because I was in that full time pretty much up until about 6 months ago, really, and really up until about 3 or 4 months ago, I was very, very heavily involved. Yeah, and so that guy takes care of all that so that I can focus on this, which
jam-up job.
It is an awesome job.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks for watching us today. Thanks for joining us again. If you would like, share, subscribe, help us reach more people that are interested in this type of business or business in general. If you'll look in our description, it has products that we use at our Airbnbs. It has links to our Airbnb listings if you want to look at those and maybe get some inspiration. If you have questions, throw them in the comments. If you're interested in doing a podcast like this, there's step-by-step videos on how to do that. In the comments, there's links to videos there, and that's the only place that you can access those, because those are not public; they're unlisted. So, if you have any questions or comments or whatever, throw them down in the description. And remember, love God, love others, and let your work reflect that. We'll catch you on the next one.